Good evening, and welcome to the latest happenings inside our federal machine.
It's Monday, December the 15th, 2025. Only 10 days until Christmas already. Hope all you lovely misfits and angels out there are enjoying the wonderful Christmas season. This is Faithon with a brand new episode of The Swamp. We unfortunately have to start the show with some bad news. Hollywood legend Rob Reiner and his wife were tragically murdered yesterday, allegedly by their son, who has been arrested. President Trump posted on his Truth Social, sending his condolences along with a reminder of Rob Reiner's Trump derangement syndrome, which drew quite the backlash from both sides of the aisle. The White House announces that gas is now below $3 a gallon across 38 states. Only the vast majority of blue states are still stuck with gas over $3. And 5 members of the far-left anti-capitalist and anti-government group Turtle Island Liberation Front were arrested Friday in the Mojave Desert for allegedly plotting to bomb U.S. companies this New Year's Eve. And the FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for a person of interest they believe is directly linked to the Brown University shooting over the weekend. And Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and General Caine presented the Mexican Border Defense Medal to service members in the Oval Office today, the first time this medal has been issued since the year 1918. During the same event, President Trump declared fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. And the Small Business Administrator, Kelly Loeffler, reminded Americans that the Biden administration added $6 trillion worth of new regulations that contribute to inflation due to the increased costs for small businesses. And the Small Business Administration created the Deregulation Strike Force to combat and obliterate as much business red tape as possible. And there's a lot more that happened today, so we are going to dive straight in. And if you enjoyed the video, please give the video a quick like if you have a second, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the daily updates. And I might just read your comment on the next episode if you decide to drop one. And if by any chance, if you want me to give your channel a sub in return, just drop a comment below saying subscribe to me and I will oblige. And every article you'll see in the video will be linked in the description below. So I'm going to hop straight over to Thomas Massey. This was posted 8 hours ago. Regardless of how you felt about Rob Reiner, this is inappropriate and disrespectful discourse about a man who was just brutally murdered. I guess my elected GOP colleagues, the VP, and White House staff will just ignore it because they're afraid. I challenge anyone to defend it. And this is, of course, from the man himself, President Trump. He says, a very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away, together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace. And that's it, man. That is controversial. If I ever read a post from President Trump, that one might be up there in the top 10 at least. So he posted this today. It was at 9:51 this morning. And if memory serves, I believe that police were called to Rob Reiner's house sometime around 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, local time. So, so there's a lot of people that are pretty pissed off at President Trump for this. I do have one more. I've got one from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Rob Reiner and his wife were tragically killed at the hands of their own son, who reportedly had drug addiction and other issues, and their remaining children are left in serious mourning and heartbreak. This is a family tragedy, not about politics or political enemies. Many families deal with a family member with drug addiction and mental health issues. It's incredibly difficult and should be met with empathy, especially when it ends in murder. Well, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she could have just sent her condolences and completely ignored what President Trump said, which, by the way, Rob Reiner's son, he's age 40 years old. He's got a history, of course, of drug addiction. He also spent some time living homeless. I guess he traveled around the country being homeless. I don't know the details. I know he wrote an autobiography about his homelessness. Was he completely cut off from his father and his mother? I don't know. Financially speaking, who knows? I mean, growing up in around the Hollywood elites and living that Hollywood elitist lifestyle, like when somebody claims that they're broke or homeless, you don't really, at least I wouldn't come to expect them to really be actually broke. But maybe it was more of a lifestyle than anything. Certainly his drug addiction was, and apparently that's what led him to his homelessness. So I guess that he's been had a pretty rocky relationship with his parents, and I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see exactly what happened or what drove him to do what he did. Apparently he slit their throats. That's what I read in the news. So that's what's been circulating around, and so stabbing, and apparently his sister, Rob Reiner, and his wife's daughter, who was the one who discovered them, and she called the police, and the rest unfolded as it did. So I don't have anything from the left, from Democrats, because I'm sure you can just use your imagination. I mean, we all know like how absolutely ape shit that they're going over President Trump's post. Actually, I will share what I posted. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Okay, so here's one from Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. So I'll give you at least one. So she says, the sitting president of the United States looked at the death of Rob Reiner and decided it was an opportunity to score political points. Let me be very clear. This was a horrific tragedy. Families are mourning. This is not a campaign rally. There is no limit to how low he is willing to go, and that speaks volumes about how dangerously unfit he is to lead. My condolences go out to Rob Reiner's family and loved ones. And of course, you reposted that. That one was actually kind of tame compared to some others. They're calling President Trump a raving lunatic, a psychopath. There's no limit to his evil. He's being called the PEDO word by some. I read from some other individual that hell is not nearly hot enough for him. Or, just pretty much that's basically where they're going with all that. So anyway, what yours truly wrote, if Trump's intention was to take the wind out of the sails from the morning left, he succeeded immensely. There's 10 times more attention toward Trump's post than Rob Reiner's condolences. I think that's the TDS point he meant to illustrate. And that's my takeaway. I think that's probably why he took it that direction, because he knew by posting something like that, the left will almost completely forget about the fact that Rob Reiner was murdered, and they're just going to go straight to attacking Trump. Like, how dare you say somebody has Trump derangement syndrome? So, I don't know. Either way, I think it was quite tasteless. I think he should have just left his condolences and just kept it there. There was extremely heavy pushback, 100% rightfully so, and many people will say there wasn't nearly enough pushback with regard to Charlie Kirk's assassination and how the left was treating that. A lot of people got fired. A lot of people, they were expelled from school, university, and so on and so forth. And so I think that was just distasteful. I mean, obviously he's not celebrating it. He's not. He's saying that may they rest in peace. He's saying a very sad thing happened last night. So it's not anywhere near on the level of what the left was expressing with regard to Charlie Kirk. I mean, I'm not going to make that direct comparison. I'm just saying that he probably could have just left it as my condolences and just kind of left the TDS part out of it, even though I believe that he's doing that just to get a rise out of the left, which he clearly did, because there's a lot more posts out there, at least from what I've observed, of people freaking out over what Trump said, as opposed to just extending their condolences to the Reiner family. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and move on past that. And I got this from 10 hours ago. Mark Wayne Mullen, gas under $2 in Oklahoma. So if you live in Oklahoma, drop a comment and let me know that if that's actually legit or not. You know how politicians, you can't trust every single thing they say. But he does give 4 instances of gas being below $2 in the state of Oklahoma. So, I'll take him at his word. And I do know that in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, there was a post going viral of somebody sharing a video at a gas station where it was $1.99 somewhere in the state of Colorado. So yeah, man, gas is dropping sharply. I'm not seeing it here. I believe over the weekend I saw gas at like $2.89 where I live, and I live in the St. Pete, Florida area, which it's usually supposed to be some of the cheaper gas in the country, but not lately. But anyway, so $1.89 in Midwest City, Oklahoma, $1.89 in Oklahoma City, $1.91 in Tinker Air Force Base, and $1.93 in Edmond, Oklahoma. Drill, baby, drill. And he reposted this from Gas Buddy. The national average for a gallon of regular gas has reached another new multi-year low, now at its lowest price since March of 2021. And that was from Rapid Response 47, who wrote that. And we got this from Secretary Chris Wright, who is the Secretary of Energy. And he says common sense energy policies lead to lower gas prices. Promise made, promise kept. And from the White House, just 2 weeks later, there are now 38 states with average gas prices below $3 a gallon and falling. 38 U.S. states. You can observe the map yourself, and you can kind of notice a trend happening here. Although Minnesota, their gas is under $3 a gallon, so I don't know how the hell they managed to make that work, but that's one blue state where it works. Same with Colorado, which interestingly, Colorado, that's the first state where gas dropped below $2 a gallon. At least if what I read is actually true, which I read that in at least a few different areas, so I'm sure that's probably the case in Colorado. Not to say that the whole state's below $2 a gallon. There's at least one gas station that did drop below $2. But yeah, I mean, all the rest of the states are all blue. Arizona's not blue, but, I know they're kind of teetering. Hopefully it won't teeter too far to the left. But anyway, so we got that. And under $3 a gallon, they say it's going to keep falling. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So keep our fingers crossed. I mean, gas, great thing. That does help the middle class out. And it's also going to help try to stabilize prices, probably try to bring down, or it will probably bring down inflation, even if it's just a little bit, because, when you get cheap gas, you get cheap transportation, and, the cost of goods on the shelf at the end of the day can be reduced a little bit, or at least ideally. Now all they need to do is tackle housing. All right, so DOJ spokesperson, and this is going to be the official account for the Justice Department's Office of Public Affairs. DOJ accuses Democratic campaign arm of obstruction in lawsuit over California redistricting. This is going to be on Fox News. And we've got a 3-day hearing. It begins over Proposition 50 allegations of unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. This was posted today at 3:09 p.m. The Department of Justice accused the Democratic campaign arm of Congress of withholding key redistricting documents, an allegation that surfaced just before a 3-day hearing kicked off Monday in federal court over California Proposition 50. And they said as soon as it passed that the Department of Justice was going to sue over this Prop 50 over that reason, being drawn, or at least they're alleging, along racial lines. Plus, they basically, Gavin Newsom came right out and said, well, if Texas is going to gerrymander, then we're going to gerrymander. We're going to drop Proposition 50, and we're going to eliminate 5 Republican seats from the state of California, which, I don't know how that is not just blatantly illegal. The Republicans in California, 25% of people who vote in California are Republicans, yet only, I believe, 7 Republican representatives come out of California out of how many? Like 52 or 56? Like 56, I think, different representatives coming from California that represent the state in Congress. So it's already not fairly represented, and by them removing all but 2, so out of maybe it's not 56. I think it's 50 something. All right, I'll just at least say that. But out of 50 something Congress members coming from California, only 2 being Republicans. Not sure how that's going to hold up in court. So I guess we'll just have to, I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll report accordingly, as I did when I came across this today. So the DOJ argued in court papers that the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee and consultant Paul Mitchell, who drew California's new map proposal, attempted to hinder the discovery process, including by dumping several gigabytes of files on the government less than 2 days before the hearing was set to begin. That is very common tactics where they do that during the very end of the discovery phase. They just drop boxes and boxes and files and all kinds of shit without any time to adequately prepare. So the documents that they did provide, according to DOJ lawyers, included evidence that Mitchell prioritized racial considerations when he drew the Proposition 50 map, such as a slide deck he made promoting how the map would increase voting opportunities for Latino residents. I believe that's a no-no. All right, DOJ attorneys said the DCCC misled the court by claiming it lacked control over Mitchell's records despite having a contractual right to his materials. The DCCC, therefore, had an obligation to produce responsive records as part of the discovery process, the lawyer said. Meanwhile, Mitchell withheld documents raised baseless privilege objections dozens of times in his deposition and belatedly produced only a fraction of his tens of thousands of files to the court, the DOJ lawyer said. The court clash is part of the lawsuit the DOJ joined against Governor Gavin Newsom in the DTCC. The lawsuit alleged that Proposition 50, which would allow the state to draw a more Democrat-friendly map in time for the 2026 midterms, involved unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. More Democrat-friendly map, dude. It's already unfairly leaning Democrat already. Like I said, out of 7. Here, let me just take a look. How many House reps in California? I think it's 56, but I have a feeling I'm wrong. I don't know. It's been at least a few weeks since okay, 52. All right. It wasn't my first answer 52. Whatever. Okay, so 52. How many are Republican? And I know it's 7. I believe it's 7. I think it's 7. Is it 7? Come on, Grok. Grok 4.1, taking his time. All right, 52. Oh, there's 9. Okay, 9 Republicans. All right, 9. And that's still, I mean, that's still less than 25% representation. But yeah, if with Prop 50, their aim is to reduce 5 Republican seats and flip them into Democrat seats, which would only leave 4. So only 4 Republicans would be represented in the state of California in Congress. And yeah, that seems a little gerrymandered to me. Only 4 Republicans out of 52. Are you fucking kidding? There's no way that should, I mean, justifiably it shouldn't hold up in court, but who knows with federal courts these days? It all depends on the judge. Is it going to be a leftist activist judge or not a leftist activist judge? Who knows? So anyway, the litigation is one of many redistricting disputes that have cropped up across the country ahead of the next year's election. Prop 50, which passed as a ballot measure in November, was a direct response to a mid-decade redistricting effort in Texas and designed to cancel out the 5 Republican gains there. And they were bragging about that, which blew my mind that they were. So the Supreme Court recently upheld Texas's map in an emergency order after left-leaning groups alleged it was a race-based effort. Well, now it looks like the Trump administration and the DOJ, they're saying the exact same thing about California. A source familiar with the DOJ's thinking said the department viewed Texas's redrawing as a political exercise, whereas California's was racial. The source said the Newsom administration appeared to be covering up the racially driven design of its map, calling the redistricting effort a brazen power grab that undermines the election process and divides voters based on race. And the DCCC argued in a court document on Monday that the DOJ was attempting to slam square pegs into round holes to build up their paper-thin case, and that the department was overstating DCCC's access to Mitchell's files. And okay, here, there's not much left to it, so I'll just finish this up. So in addition to Texas and California, Louisiana has a case pending before the Supreme Court that could affect its map by the next election, depending on when the high court rules on it. In Utah, Republicans were recently dealt a blow by a state judge who approved a new map that will tip one of the state's 4 districts in favor of Democrats. Illinois and Maryland, 2 blue states, and Virginia, where Democrats control the legislature, are also taking steps toward redistricting. The DOJ has asked a 3-judge panel hearing the California case to determine that race was a major factor in the drawing of the map based on Mitchell's and the DCCC's actions. That finding would bolster the lawsuit's broader claim, which the court is vetting during this week's 3-day hearing, that Proposition 50 amounted to unconstitutional racial gerrymandering and must be blocked. Well, if they can get the state of California to release its voter rolls, which I'm assuming they're going to be able to get that released in the coming months, it's going to be interesting to see where they compare all of those names, how many of them are either full-on illegals or immigrants or ineligible to vote, or if they've got the same person voting in multiple different jurisdictions or polling locations. We'll just have to see with regard to that too. And I guess, we'll just have to see if that's going to play out in the favor of Republicans or not. But either way, there's really no reason to be holding that back. But all right. So AG Pam Bondi, 9 hours ago, after an intense investigation, the Department of Justice, working with our FBI, prevented what would have been a massive and horrific terror plot in the Central District of California, Orange County, and Los Angeles. The Turtle Island Liberation Front, Turtle Island Liberation Front, a far-left, pro-Palestine, anti-government, and anti-capitalist group, was preparing to conduct a series of bombings against multiple targets in California beginning on New Year's Eve. The group also planned to target ICE agents and vehicles. This was an incredible effort by our U.S. attorney's offices and the FBI to ensure Americans can live in peace. We will continue to pursue these terror groups and bring them to justice. And the stupid asses who were planning on it, I'm sure they were bragging on TikTok like, oh my God, I can't wait till New Year's Eve. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. Because people, they'll say anything on TikTok. It's hilarious. They spill the beans about everything on platforms like TikTok, just believing that consequences just magically don't exist anymore. Okay, so FA, United States Attorney Bill Essayli. We have zero tolerance for domestic terrorism in the United States. The following 4 defendants, members of the far-left, anti-capitalist, and anti-government group Turtle Island Liberation Front, were arrested Friday in the Mojave Desert for allegedly plotting to bomb U.S. companies this New Year's Eve. I actually, at the intro of this video, I believe I said 5, so my mistake. It's actually 4. So Audrey Eileen Carroll, 30, a.k.a. Asenac of South LA. Zachary Aaron Page, 32, AK of Torrance. Dante Gaffield, 24, Nomad, South LA. And Tina Lai, 41, AK Kickware of Glendale. And the defendants have been charged in a federal criminal complaint with conspiracy and possession of an unregistered destructive device. They are scheduled to make their initial appearances this afternoon in U.S. District Court in Los Angeles. So, possession of an unregistered destructive device. So, sounds like they built something for that occasion. But it does only say just of one, hence the word and. I mean, if they're talking about blowing up multiple targets, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were to find multiple devices, but I mean, they're charged with at least one. And the U.S. Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney Essayli, announces charges in a foiled far-left NYE New Year's Eve terrorist plot. So we'll give
Over the weekend, my office, along with the FBI, arrested members of a far-left, anti-government domestic terror cell who self-identify as the Turtle Island Liberation Front. The individuals were arrested on Friday, December 12th, when the group attempted to construct and detonate IEDs out in the desert. The charges we are announcing today stem from the defendants and their co-conspirators' detailed, coordinated plot to bomb multiple U.S. companies on New Year's Eve. Thankfully, that plot has now been foiled thanks to the hard work of the FBI and the Department of Justice.
All right, the plot's been foiled. They couldn't keep their mouth shut. Thank God. That's a good thing. Just they had to go brag to somebody, obviously, because the feds found out and busted him. Okay, JD Vance, 7 hours ago. It looks like the second victim in the Brown shooting has been identified. A brilliant young man who dreamed of being a surgeon. May God rest the soul of Mohammed Aziz Umerzakov. Say a prayer for everyone affected by this terrible tragedy right before Christmas. And he goes on to say this beautiful young girl was one of the murdered students at Brown University. It takes special courage to lead an organization of conservatives on a left-wing campus, and I am very sorry our country has lost one of its bright young stars. Eternal rest grant unto her, O Lord. And he reposted this from College Republicans of America. Official statement on the loss of Brown University College Republicans Vice President Ella Cook. We are devastated to learn of the loss of our Brown College Republicans Vice President Ella Cook. Ella was known for her bold, brave, and kind heart as she saved her chapter and her fellow classmates. Our prayers are with her family, our Browns CRs, and the entirety of the campus as they heal from this tragedy. Martin Bertow, president of College Republicans of America. So was this not only a potential terrorist attack against a Jewish professor, which that's the news that I heard as of late, that the gunman stormed into a classroom that was taught by a Jewish professor, and apparently half of all students during their undergrad for Brown University take that professor's class. I mean, apparently that's how good it really is. But that was the classroom that he shot up. So was it not only directed towards Jews, but was it also directed toward Republicans? Because, I mean, here we have the vice president for the Brown College Republicans. So I don't know if it's like a 2-level terrorist attack. So I don't know, just food for thought, I guess. So it was an awful tragedy. That's really awful to hear that happened. And so this comes from FBI Director Kash Patel 2 hours ago. The FBI and Providence, Rhode Island Police Department are releasing new images of a person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University on December 13th. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual. Anyone with information, please contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI 225-5324 or the Providence Police Department at 401-272-3121. And that's the image that we've got. Let me see if I can full screen it. Nah, that never works. I always forget about that. Okay, so seeking information, Brown University shooting, unknown suspect, Providence, Rhode Island, December 13th. Those are the images. They're obviously not good images. Dude was clearly concealing himself, obviously suspicious, masking up, way after COVID, clearly. So definitely very sus. Looks like, well, in this image, it looks like he's got gloves on or he's putting gloves on. In that image, he obviously doesn't. So, all right. Anyway, if you know, or if you know enough information to lead to his arrest, you got $50,000 potentially waiting for you. And this comes from the FBI Boston. Basically the same statement. The FBI and Providence, Rhode Island Police Department are releasing new images of a person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University on December 13th. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual. Anyone with information is asked to contact the FBI or Providence Police Department. And I will link that also, which is probably, yeah, so that's going to be the flyer or the wanted poster. And does it have anything else? So the Boston Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Providence Police Department. Oh yeah, this isn't on X. I can actually zoom in on this one because X doesn't let you zoom in. Okay, so the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Providence Police Department, and the Rhode Island State Police are seeking the public's assistance in identifying the individual responsible for the mass shooting at Brown University on Saturday, December 13th. The suspect is described as male, 5'8", with a stocky build. The public is encouraged to share any personal videos or photographs of the incidents to FBI Brown University shooting. So this is the guy. I thought that they arrested him. I read yesterday that there was an arrest made in that, and that the Providence Police Department weren't releasing information on it, despite that they had someone in custody. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was something else that happened. It was an absolutely insane weekend in all the worst ways, especially with what happened in Australia. And also with what happened in Syria with the U.S. service members. And I've got a couple of posts on that coming up in a little bit. But anyway, so this is the latest. Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's still at large, which is absolutely mind-boggling and unbelievable. Cannot believe that Providence, Rhode Island Police Department. I mean, what the hell, man? And somebody even made a mention that there's 800 surveillance cameras on that campus. 800. And I guess that's the best they can do. A side image, yes, a side image is important, so you can see like what his stature looks like, whether if he's skinny, fat, whatever. Also his height, but this one, like that's really the best that they could come up with 800 different surveillance cameras on campus. Apparently, it's the most heavily surveilled campus in the entire state, which I read from some other source yesterday, because I did a video covering both the Brown University shooting and also the Bondi Beach massacre in Australia. So we'll go ahead and move on to U.S. Attorney Pirro. President Trump has reduced crime in D.C. even more than originally thought. The uncovering of manipulated crime statistics in the MPD makes clear that crime was higher than reported. Full statement. So we got the full statement. Okay, so it's not that long. So in August of 2025, the United States Attorney's Office in D.C. began an investigation into MPD's reported deflation of crime statistics. The need for accurate information to fight crime is essential. After a review of almost 6,000 reports and the interview of over 50 witnesses, it is evident that a significant number of reports had been misclassified, making crime appear artificially lower than it was. The uncovering of these manipulated crime statistics makes clear that President Trump has reduced crime even more than originally thought, since crimes were actually higher than reported. His crime-fighting efforts have delivered even more safety to the people of the district. The conduct here does not rise to the level of a criminal charge. However, it is up to MPD to take steps to internally address these underlying issues. So did she link anything? No, would have been nice to have linked those statistics as to what what they claim is underreported or not reported or downgraded. Like there's instances like I don't know if I should really give out any examples because I don't have them right in front of me, but like assault with a deadly weapon, like in the police department in DC, instead they would categorize it as like simple assault or whatever. It's a bad example, but that's what they were doing. They were taking serious crimes and violent crimes, and they were downgrading them to lesser crimes, not for the purpose of conviction, but just for simple crime reporting to the statistics of the metro area to make it look like that the crime wasn't as bad or the numbers weren't as bad as they actually are. So anyway, so we got this from U.S. Attorney Pirro, predators beware. So we got a video from it too.
Hi everyone, it's Judge Janine. I'm here in the district, and this past weekend, an individual by the name of John Aaron Gass, 35 years old, and a school teacher at the DC International School, was arrested and charged by my office with production of child pornography, as well as coercion and enticement of a minor. The first charge carries a maximum of 15 years, a mandatory minimum actually, and the second 10 years.
Good.
It appears, based upon our investigation, that this defendant crawled into the bedroom window of a child who was a child at the school where he was teaching, and on multiple occasions he sexually abused that child.
Oh my God, what a fucking piece of shit.
He also used her phone to video what he was doing and his phone to communicate with her. So right now he is being held. Tomorrow, Tuesday, there will be a detention hearing. And let everyone be aware of the fact that these kinds of crimes will not be tolerated in the district, and this is exactly what we do to make sure that children are protected.
Wow, man. See, I don't care if it's over-parenting or not. I've always had alarms on my daughter's windows when she was little. Like, actually, they're still on her window. I think maybe the batteries are dead at this point, but she's 19 right now, so she's grown up. But when she was younger and when she was little, we had those little they're like these little window devices. They weren't connected to like an online security system or anything like that, but they would sound off really loud, just like a smoke detector, extremely loud when the window was lifted. And, you know, thank God that was never, ended up never being required, or not required, but you know, they were never set off, except for when I forgot that they were there and I'd open up the window because it's a nice day and it scared the shit out of me. I mean, that happened countless times. But all right, so anyway, Watley War Room, Mugshot Monday. Meet Adam Mercado. He was recently charged with 3 homicides across 2 counties in one night. Before that, he had been arrested 20 plus times. Soft on crime, Roy Cooper made North Carolina a place where criminals thrive and innocents pay the price. There he is, same guy, arrested all those times. And whatever happened to the whole 3 strikes law? Like if you commit a crime, especially a felony, well, I think that mainly pertains to felonies. You commit 3 felonies back to back, or on 3 separate occasions, you know, you get a mandatory minimum. I don't remember. I think it varies by state, but it's like 10 years or 15 years or something like that. Obviously, that doesn't happen in North Carolina. They probably just kept cutting them loose without any bail. No nothing. Charges dropped. Have a nice day. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you back here next week with your next crime that we can swiftly dismiss. All right, so from the White House 4 hours ago, breaking, President Trump just declared fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. This critical step unleashes every tool to combat the cartels and foreign networks responsible for flooding communities with this deadly substance, the leading cause of death among Americans aged 18 to 45. Wow, man, all the way up to age 45. Let's hear this from
That's why today I'm taking one
President
more
Trump.
step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today, we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction.
Okay, 200 to 300,000. That sounds a bit inflated to me. From what I've read, it's like 78,000 or 80,000. Let me just double check. See if you can give me the answer quickly. If it takes a minute, then I'll move on to the next thing and I'll come back to it. All right, here we go. Approximately 48,000 Americans died from overdoses involving fentanyl, primarily illicitly manufactured synthetic opioids like fentanyl and its analogs. Okay, so about 48,000 in 2023. So 200,000 to 300,000. I don't know if that might be a worldwide statistic, maybe, or maybe that's just drug overdoses in general. And I'm honestly not sure how many. I still don't think it's 200,000. I think it's still well below that. It's like 120,000, maybe, something like that. 80,000. Okay, so hold on. So where are these sources? These sources, they come from the cdc.gov, cdc.gov, nida.nih.gov, CDC, addictionpolicy.org, infectiousdiseaseadvisor.com, PTTC network, I'm not familiar with that, PBS, another CDC. Okay, so we get the idea. So, I mean, most of these stats are the results are coming from the CDC. So I think Trump, I think he inflated that number just a little bit. But all right, anyway. But regardless, I mean, it's extremely deadly. I mean, it's absolutely deadly as hell. So, all right, DOW rapid response from the president. Drugs coming in by sea are down by 94%. So hopefully this time next year, whatever numbers that the CDC is going to report that happened for the year 2025, hopefully that number is going to be significantly down. And I can only imagine, like, if this is actually the case, and even if fentanyl is down by at least 90%, I can only imagine a lot of people right now probably going through withdrawal, which long term, definitely a very good thing to get clean. It'll save their life. And anyway, we'll give this a watch.
I have to say the drugs coming in by sea are down 94%. And we're trying to figure out who the other 6% are. But they're down 94%, and we're going to start hitting them on land, which is a lot easier to do, frankly. But these are a direct military threat to the United States of America. They're trying to drug out our country. And you can look throughout history. Look at China when they were loaded up with drugs. They were suffering greatly, and others were able to take them over. And other countries also. They're trying to drug out our country, and we're reversing it rapidly, actually. But with the help of our great service members, we've stopped the invasion in its tracks, and we're dismantling the cartels very rapidly. And they are being declared enemies of the United States of America. They have been so declared, legally declared. I have to say.
All right. And I would imagine the vast majority of people who are overdosing and dying from fentanyl are probably young military-aged men. That would be my assumption. Okay. Well, which the statistic did say from what, like age 18 to 40 or 18 to 45. Okay, so Scott Turner, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Waste and fraud may have been the norm under the Biden administration, but not with us. We are rooting out fraud among TPS Somalis and any group who should not have access to taxpayer-funded benefits.
The program started at $2.6 million cost annually, and then over the next 4 years, it ballooned up to $302 million. So, Mr. Secretary,
Hold on a minute. Minnesota Housing Stabilization Services estimated annual cost in 2020 was only $2.6 million. In 2024, $302 million. Source: Office of Acting U.S. Attorney Joseph H. Thompson. That is insane. Fraud pervasive in Minnesota.
Are you investigating any of this fraud as well?
Well, you know, Bob, I'm so glad that you've brought this to light. All of the fraud and the waste and the abuse that went on during the Biden administration. And this is just one case of the abuse. And I know at HUD we have cut off any funding to any Somalis in our TPS program, any temporary protected status. HUD funding is cut off to them. And this is just one case of so much. But as you know, we have another investigation going on right now in the city of Boston.
The program started at 2.6.
Yep, that is absolutely freaking wild, man. Investigate. All right, DEA Omaha. And they say that's a lot of methamphetamine. DEA agents across the 5-state Omaha division continue to see hundreds of pounds of methamphetamine entering our counties. Meth uses has its consequences. Educate yourself. Make smart choices. Learn more at DEA.gov. That is a lot. That is a lot of fentanyl. Or not fentanyl, methamphetamine. That's a lot, man. That almost puts Walter White to shame. That is a ton. And every day, man, every day they're posting stuff. Whether it's DEA Omaha, if it's a regional DEA office, or if it's DEA HQ. The same with the Customs and Border Protection and the FBI and the U.S. Coast Guard, even ICE. Sometimes they'll post drug bust images. It's like every single day, man. These giant seizures, man. It's like hundreds of pounds per day that they're posting. Okay, so USCIS, also from earlier today. This criminal is facing 10 years in prison after attempting to gain citizenship and not disclosing her war crimes during the Bosnian War. We continue our war on fraud. So this is kind of crazy. So former Connecticut resident pleads guilty to lying to obtain U.S. citizenship after committing war crimes in Bosnia. And this was released back on November 18th. But they shared this today, USCIS. So did it actually say that she was facing 10 years? So maybe she appeared in court today. Maybe that's the reason for them just sharing this today. So U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services provided critical assistance to the investigation leading to a guilty plea from Nada Radovan Tomanek, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Bosnia and Herzegovina, for criminal charges relating to lying about prior criminal conduct to obtain U.S. citizenship. The U.S. Attorney's Office made the announcement. According to court documents, Tomanek, 53 of West Virginia, formerly of Hartford, Connecticut, served with the Zulfikar Special Unit of the Army of Bosnia and Herzegovina during the armed conflict in the region in the 1990s. Along with other Zulfikar Special Unit soldiers, Tomanek participated in the physical and psychological abuse of Bosnian Serb civilian prisoners. When applying for U.S. naturalization in 2012, Tomanek falsely denied having served in a detention facility or in any other situation involving the detention of others. She also falsely denied having committed a crime for which she had not been arrested, specifically the crime of inflicting serious bodily harm under criminal law of the Socialist Republic of Yugoslavia. Tomanek's deception extended beyond her written naturalization application. During her interview with the USCIS officer, she was placed under oath and legally obligated to answer questions truthfully. Despite that obligation, she again lied about her service in a detention facility and her past criminal conduct. Tomanek pleaded guilty to one count of procuring citizenship contrary to law. She is scheduled to be sentenced February 3rd, 2026, and faces a maximum term of imprisonment of 10 years. So there you have it. They're not messing around, man. Don't you be lying. You're going to go to prison if you do. And from CBP, quote, with a secure border, lives are being saved every day. Sex trafficking has plummeted. Fentanyl has plummeted. And that was said by border czar Tom Homan. Saving lives and protecting America. It's what we do.
Under the last administration, over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. With a secure border, lives are being saved every day.
Is that foggy or is there a dust storm?
Sex trafficking has plummeted. Fentanyl has plummeted. No inspector terrorists coming across borders plummeted. A secure border means stronger national security. But most importantly, it means saving lives. Saving aliens' lives and saving Americans' lives.
Yeah, man, saving everybody's lives. That's a crazy weather they got going on. All right, Caroline Levitt, worst of the worst. 400 criminal aliens busted in Minnesota. Walz's sanctuary policies are to blame. Worst of the worst, and this is going to be on Breitbart, and we've got some images of some of the criminal illegals. And federal immigration officers have arrested more than 400 illegal aliens, including convicted pedos and R-worders and violent offenders during Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota. A crackdown officials say was necessary after state and local sanctuary policies allowed dangerous criminals to roam free. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin blasted Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey for failing to protect the people of Minnesota. Quote, ICE law enforcement officers have arrested more than 400 illegal aliens, including pedos and R-worders and violent thugs since Operation Metro Surge began, said McLaughlin. Tim Walz and Jacob Frey failed to protect the people in Minnesota. They let these monsters and child predators roam free. Thanks to our brave law enforcement, Minnesota is safer with these thugs off their streets. Instead of thanking our law enforcement for removing criminals from their communities, Tim Walz and Jacob Frey continue to demonize our brave law enforcement. That's exactly what they've been doing. DHS officials offered the following as examples of the worst criminal illegal aliens arrested by ICE in Operation Metro Surge. And this guy, Bon Dula Singh, 47 years old. He's from Burma, convicted of third-degree criminal sexual conduct using force or coercion in Nobles County, sentenced to 4 years in prison. And so he has a final order of removal since 2014. So he's been here illegally for over a decade. And Vanalut Kiomini, 59 years old, from Laos, convicted of 2 counts of R in Columbus, Ohio, sentenced to 7 years in prison, and he's had a final order since 2009. And Singh Radsmikham, a 52-year-old from Laos, been convicted of 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct using force or coercion in Roseu County. He was sentenced to 18 months in prison and 10 years of probation. He's had the final order of removal since 2004, so it looks like Minnesota's been harboring illegal immigrants for quite some time. I mean, his is since 2011. And Liban Ali Osman, 43, from Somalia, robbery is what he was convicted for, sentenced to 3 years. I mean, how many more did we? I mean, we got a bunch of these, man. Look at all these. So, where were we? So we've got since 2006, criminal conduct with a child under 13. And first-degree great bodily harm, sentenced to 14 years. He's had a final order since 2000. And so this dude's 49, from Mexico, soliciting children through electronic communication to engage in you-know-what. Let's see, Laos, and 2001. So that's a freaking damn near a quarter of a century. And he was sentenced to 8 years for, let's see, third-degree criminal conduct and second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon. And anyway, we get the idea. So, yep, some of the worst of the worst in Minnesota doing the great work. And what does Minnesota do? They basically spit in their faces and say, get the hell out of here and let them go. Let them roam free. We want them in our communities. We want the violence. We want to be taken advantage of and preyed upon. At least that's the takeaway. I mean, how else can you look at it? All right, so CBP, and they're reposting CBP AMO. Secure border equals secure America. Monday motivation. This is a quick video.
I don't care. I don't mess with two-faced hypocrites. I swear I'm gonna be me and stay busy working hard and living free. You can talk your talk behind my back. I ain't got time for that kind of act. I'd rather die standing tall and live on my knees. Yeah, hate me all you want. I'm at peace.
All right, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. We'll roll on to the next thing. Rapid Response 47 and Donald J. Trump's Truth Social. He says Mexico must take care of its water and sewage problem immediately. It is a true threat to the people of Texas, California, and the United States of America. And that's in regard to that issue in Tijuana with like the sewage runoff. And they were supposed to have fixed that months ago, and it's still an ongoing issue. This is back on July 25th. Quote, it's a crisis destroying the environment, crippling the economy, and making thousands of people sick. EPA Lee Zeldin signs an MOU with Mexico to get them to make $93 million worth of improvements to the Tijuana sewage system, helping to stop the decades-old problem of sewage ending up in Southern California. We'll give this a
EPA
quick watch.
Administrator Lee Zeldin told us in April when he was visiting here, he wanted a complete list of fixes with Mexico that would eradicate this problem forever. Well, he flew to Mexico City Thursday morning to work on that list.
Work on the list with Mexico and finalize the list with Mexico.
An MOU has been reached between the United States and Mexico for a permanent 100% solution to the decades-old Tijuana River sewage crisis.
It's a crisis destroying the environment, crippling the economy, and making thousands sick. Yet Tijuana continues to dump millions of gallons of sewage every day in the Tijuana River and in the Pacific Ocean. The pollution is in the water, the ground, and in the air. Zeldin took it all in when he visited in April.
Smelled for myself that foul smell that so many residents of Southern California have been complaining about.
At that time, he demanded a list of fixes. It took 3 months, but Mexico and the U.S. agreed to a list Thursday afternoon.
There are a lot of new Mexican-side projects that Mexico is agreeing to.
There are 3 main points. Mexico will spend $93 million to fulfill promises it already made. Those projects need to get done faster, and Mexico agrees to improvements that will fix the problem sooner and prevent it from being a problem down the road.
Where do we need to be in 2030 and 2035 and beyond?
Okay. Well, and that was back in July, and still nothing's been done about it. So who knows how long that's going to take. Okay, so U.S. Department of Justice International. The U.S. unseals warrant for tanker seized by the Coast Guard off the coast of Venezuela, which happened roughly about a week ago. I believe it was last week when that happened. So this was released on Friday, December the 12th. The United States Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia obtained an order unsealing its seizure warrant for the MT Skipper IMO number 9304667, announced U.S. Attorney Janine Ferris-Pirro and FBI Director Kash Patel. The seizure warrant was signed by a magistrate judge of the United States District Court for the District of Columbia on November 26th of this year. On December 10th, the U.S. Coast Guard boarded and seized the crude oil tanker as it traveled on the high seas after departing Venezuela. U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, previously identified the MT Skipper, which was formerly called the Adiza, as being used in an oil shipping network supporting Hezbollah and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, QODS, or Quads Force IRGC-QF, both U.S. Department of State designated foreign terrorist organizations. The IRGC uses proceeds from the distribution of petroleum to fund its terrorist networks. Quote, as the premier of the United States Attorney's Office leading efforts to intercept ghost vessels as well as sanctioned products, we remain committed to legally supporting President Trump's efforts to make the world a safer place, said U.S. Attorney Pirro. The U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. has demonstrated exceptional perseverance and a unique ability to navigate the challenges inherent in this type of enforcement action unmatched anywhere in the country. The FBI's Counterintelligence Division and our partners will continue to enforce U.S. sanctions and cut off our adversaries from financial markets and critical technology, said FBI Director Patel. The seizure of this vessel highlights our successful efforts to impose costs on the governments of Venezuela and Iran. Sanctions enforcement requires a whole-of-government approach, and the FBI is proud to be a part of the team. And the seizure warrant, it was authorized pursuant to 18 U.S.C. 981, 982, 2332B, G5, so on and so forth, the legal lingo. And, okay, so it's just the article. I mean, I don't see like a, oh wait, hold on. No, that's not going to be it. Okay, that's it's an email. All right, so I figured there might have been a PDF of the document itself, but evidently not. That's all right. So Secretary Marco Rubio, this was just 3 hours ago, pleased to congratulate President-elect Jose Antonio Cast for his recent victory during our phone call today. The United States looks forward to furthering our strong partnership with Chile to benefit both our citizens and our region, including expanding economic ties and ending illegal immigration. So that was just this evening from Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And Special Envoy Steve Witkoff readout from U.S.-Ukraine talks in Berlin, Germany. And it says the meeting in Berlin between President Zelensky, Special Envoy Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and delegations from the United States and Ukraine lasted over 5 hours. Representatives held in-depth discussions regarding the 20-point plan for peace, economic aid agendas, and more. A lot of progress was made, and they will meet again tomorrow morning. So there's a few of the images that they had shared from that roundtable meeting, and hopefully some progress is getting done with regard to that. I know President Trump's getting pretty frustrated at him. According to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, that President Trump spent over 30 hours over the last 2 weeks dealing with the Russia-Ukraine situation. So, yeah, so he's voicing his frustration. And this is from Sergei Kilistia. No way I'm going to pronounce that correctly, but you can see it right here on the screen. actually, here, let me see. Ukraine's first deputy foreign minister. So that's who this guy is. It's important that the American side remains fully engaged in the peace process and tries to identify steps that may lead to just and sustainable end of the war. It is unfair to mischaracterize approach of the American team while they investigate time, efforts, and resources into making peace. Every team listens carefully to each other. The Ukrainian position is very clear. The anonymous sources aren't correct. So, yeah, I'm sure there's probably tons of anonymous sources just throwing out a bunch of propaganda. And this comes from the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. Please join me in prayer today for the souls of our brave Army soldiers, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, who were killed by Islamic terrorists in Syria this past weekend. Our hearts go out to their families, and we lift them up in prayer for strength and comfort during this time of grief. The United States of America will avenge these fallen Americans with overwhelming force. Their memory will live on through their families, their fellow warriors, still serving our country, and in my unwavering commitment to our warfighters around the globe. And he reposted this from General Stephen Nordhaus. Our entire National Guard family mourns the loss of Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar, 25, of Des Moines, Iowa, and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, 29, of Marshalltown, Iowa, the Iowa Army National Guard soldiers who were ambushed and killed in Syria. Their mission was in support of ongoing counter-ISIS, counter-terrorism operations in the region. Our hearts are with their families, their loved ones, and the Iowa National Guard during this time of profound sorrow. We honor their courage and sacrifice, and we will never forget them or their service. We are also thinking of and praying for the families of the civilian interpreter who was killed and the 3 other guardsmen who were wounded. May God place his healing hand upon them. And those are the images of Howard on the left and Torres on the right, who were killed in that ambush attack in Syria. Yeah, very sad. And let's see, we've got this from Rapid Response 47. Rest in peace, heroes. We will never forget your sacrifice.
An Iowa police chief revealing that his son is one of the soldiers who died in that ambush attack in Syria over the weekend. His name is Nate Howard. He was one of 2 National Guardsmen shot and killed by what the Pentagon is calling a lone ISIS gunman. His father posting this tribute. My wife Misty and I had that visit from Army commanders you never want to have. Our son Nate was one of the soldiers that paid the ultimate sacrifice for all of us to keep us all safer. The Army just releasing the name of the 2nd soldier killed, Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar, age 25, out of Des Moines, Iowa. A civilian interpreter also dead, his identity not yet made public. It happened as the men were on a counterterrorism mission in the town of Palmyra, southeastern Syria. The gunman also dead in the crossfire this past weekend.
Okay, well, they got the gunman at least. And this is from 9 hours ago. General Stephen Nordhaus. Yeah, I already read that, I believe. Yeah, I did. Okay, so from DOW Rapid Response about 4 hours ago. This was at 3:45 this afternoon. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, full statement at the Mexican Border Defense Medal presentation in the Oval Office. Nobody is crossing the southern border.
I would echo what you said. This
that
has
is
been a
so
team
quiet.
effort from the beginning. Tom Homan, Terry Cole, Stephen Miller, Pam Bondi, Christy Nome, Customs and Border Patrol, Protection. It has been one team, one mission to get 100% operational control of the southern border. You want to talk about America first, peace through strength and common sense? It all manifests in one basic phrase down there. Border security is national security. And we had the task of 100% control, and because of these men and women back here, we've achieved that. Nobody is crossing the southern border. And I want to give a big shout out to our Northern Command, General Guillot. From day one, our department didn't look at the border this way before you. Joe Biden allowed an invasion of this country.
Yeah, he did.
Tens of millions of people,
Fucking
drugs,
horrifying.
gangs, violence. And the military
bullshit.
jumped to it on day one with our partners. Ultimately, it was incredible Americans. There's 13 up here with us today. They all represent about 2,000 people who've served at the border. So,
And you know what? I bet that some of these individuals were probably down there, stuck serving under Biden over those 4 years when just hundreds of thousands per month, millions a year were just pouring in nonstop, just on and on, crossing the Rio Grande, just crossing right through the port's entry, just climbing right over. In some cases, there was no border wall. They're just walking right in. And they just stood by because apparently Biden was like, nope, stand down, let them all in.
So 25,000 Americans qualify for this Mexican National Defense Border medal that we're announcing today. And what's cool about this medal, it was actually first given out in 1918. So we're reviving an old medal that existed.
I thought that was the
given
last
to
time
men
they
and
gave it
women
out.
who defended the southern border. We found out about it. We used the exact same foundry with the exact same imagery, same color,
really?
same metal,
That's
same
cool.
everything. So our men and women will be wearing that very same medal as Americans 100 years before who were asked to defend the sovereignty of our country. President Trump was elected to do that. You have done that, Mr. President. We're proud of this mission. We're proud to defend the American people. And pinning these medals on is an example of how important it is to us. So thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate it.
Hell yeah, man. Very important. Securing the border. Finally. And DOW Rapid Response. Secretary of War and General Caine presented the Mexican Border Defense Medal to service members who deployed to the southern border in the Oval Office.
Nice medal. It's not bad.
Yeah, that dude's tall. Okay, so we can skip a little bit. They're just handing them out one by one here. Okay, so here we go.
No auto pen. None.
No auto pen.
We don't like auto pens, right? We don't.
Okay, so I'm assuming that's making it official that the service medal is now to be used from this point on. So we have proudly revived the 1918 Mexican Border Service Medal. Same mold, same ribbon, same name, same service. And from DOW Rapid Response. And we already did see that video clip. And that is the close-up of the medal. So, for service on the Mexican border. So, pretty cool, man. Okay, moving on to the U.S.-China Commission. A U.S. Special Ops team boarded a ship and seized military-related articles headed to Iran from China. China is helping Iran circumvent international sanctions, providing crucial support to Iran's drone and ballistic missile programs. Wow, man. So we boarded and seized did they seize it? Or yeah, they did. They seized the cargo ship headed from Iran to China, or from China to Iran. And oh yeah, that's right. They're gonna paywall me. I think Wall Street Journal is one of these. Let me give this yet another try, as I do. Opening this up in a new window and see. Verifies the device. And I think I might be good to go from here. Operation highlights the Trump administration's use of aggressive tactics against adversaries at sea that were rarely used in the past. And oh no, yeah, see, it's gonna cut me off. I might see if I can grab another one. I'll just Google the headline. So, U.S. Special Operations team boarded a ship in the Indian Ocean last month and seized military-related articles heading to Iran from China, U.S. officials said. A rare interdiction operation at sea aimed at blocking Tehran from rebuilding its military arsenal. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go with the one here. Reuters, U.S. forces raided ship headed to Iran from China in the Indian Ocean. Wall Street Journal says. So, Washington, December 12th, a U.S. Special Operations team in the Indian Ocean raided a ship headed to Iran from China last month and seized military-related articles, the Wall Street Journal reported on Friday, citing U.S. officials. The cargo consisted of components potentially useful for Iran's conventional weapons, one official said, adding the shipment had been destroyed. And U.S. forces boarded the ship several hundred miles off the coast of Sri Lanka, according to the newspaper, which added the vessel was later allowed to proceed. And that's it. Pretty short, pretty simple. And we just move straight on from there. And heading to U.S. Department of Transportation. This weekend are FMCSA partners, and that would be, let's see, FMCSA. I don't know why they don't have that in the bio. So they're with Travel and Transportation. primary mission to prevent crashes, injuries, and fatalities involving large trucks and buses. And they go on to say that they delivered more than 250,000 wreaths to Arlington National Cemetery for National Wreaths Across America Day. Thank you to the drivers, carriers, and 2 million volunteers who honored our fallen heroes. 2 million people went into this. That is incredible. And so that's obviously a very tiny amount of the volunteers who participated in the laying of 250,000 wreaths across America. Looks like Walmart was involved. And that was a good thing. All right, so U.S. Pacific Fleet USS Abraham Lincoln CVN-72 arrives at Naval Base Guam during a scheduled deployment in the U.S. 7th Fleet area of operations, strengthening partnerships and supporting a free and open Indo-Pacific. And we've got that image of the aircraft carrier. That's some gorgeous waters, man. It'd be pretty cool to go to Guam. Yep, USS Abraham Lincoln. And I got this one from the U.S. Navy. While the world sleeps, our watch continues. The Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS George Washington, CVN-73, transits the Philippine Sea December 10th of 2025. Let me grab this. Okay, yeah, man, check this out. This is a better angle view. So the George Washington is the U.S. Navy's premier forward deployed aircraft carrier, a long-standing symbol of the United States' commitment to maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific region, while operating alongside allies and partners across the U.S. Navy's largest numbered fleet. Those amazing pictures, just out there in the middle of nowhere. That would be amazing to get to see that, especially this time of year, because the I believe is it the Geminids meteor shower that's happening right now? I think it's the Geminids meteor shower. You could see up to 120 meteors an hour. And the peak of that meteor shower, it may have passed by now, but that meteor shower will last for a couple of weeks. So being out there, it would be quite amazing to get to see that. All right, so U.S. Army staying ready for any threat. Pop quiz. Do you know what CBRNE stands for? I honestly do not, because I wasn't in the Army. My family, they're Air Force, so I honestly don't know. But do you know? Good grief, man. Really dressing up. Top level 4. Wow, man. Oh, okay, so here we go. Mission-oriented protective posture levels. Okay, so was that the acronym? Oh, no, it's not. It's CBRNE. Okay, so that has nothing to do with that. Well, I mean, obviously it has something to do with it, but yeah, I'm honestly not sure what that acronym is. But that would have been cool to have a timestamp up there to see how long that took. It probably took at least 5-6 minutes, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe it was a lot quicker than that. All right, VA Secretary Doug Collins. We caught the Washington Post fabricating fake news. Here are the receipts. Let's take a look at some of these receipts.
Hey everyone, it's Doug. One of the hardest parts about working for the Trump administration is fighting back against the constant drumbeat of fake news from liberal activist media outlets. And when it comes to fake news, no one is worse than the Washington Post. The Post December 13th story about the Department of Veterans Affairs is a great illustration of how the Post lies, yes, lies, to its readers in order to score political points against the Trump administration. I'll give you 3 examples from the story to prove my point. First example. The piece tries to mislead people into thinking VA is going to fire 35,000 healthcare workers. That's false. A lie.
False.
No VA
Fake
employees
news.
are being removed, and veteran care will not be impacted. All we are doing is taking unfilled and unnecessary positions off the books. Most of these positions haven't been filled in a year or more, and all VA medical facilities continue to hire people as needed. Here's example number 2.
Later in the story, the Post fabricated...
Yeah, but you know those 30,000+ positions, I bet that the budget was still allocated for those positions. And what happened to all that money? Who knows?
Parts of an email from a medical center director to make it appear as if he was complaining about these changes. The Post's dishonesty here is off the charts. Here's a quote from the Post describing the director's email. He wrote that he had been expecting this year to fill 734 job vacancies with new nurses, doctors, and other staff. But here's the thing, the director said no such thing. His email doesn't even include the word doctor or nurse. And rather than complaining about our efforts to take unfilled and unnecessary positions off the books, the director actually defends them. Let's actually quote the director. We had 734 vacancies. Many of these vacancies were never encumbered or very difficult to fill and literally were vacant for years. This has become an event to do some housekeeping and cleanup of the books. The director directly contradicts the Post fake news by writing here zero truth to the rumors that the VA staff will be let go.
Well, that's the Washington Post for you.
Finally, example 3. The Post story misrepresents wait times for VA mental health care in San Diego. To quote the Post, veterans in San Diego area are waiting 60 to 90 days to access mental health services.
Oh, come on.
Here's the reality. Wait times for mental health care at the San Diego VA Medical Center are a fraction of that. 9 days for established patients, 28 days for new patients as of December 13th. As you can see, the Washington Post
seems like a long time though, doesn't it?
Administration
For mental health.
or accurately, regardless of what the facts are. This is a sad state of affairs, but there is one silver lining. The Post is hemorrhaging money so bad, its shoddy brand of liberal activism journalism hopefully won't be around much longer.
Oh, I can only
We're
imagine.
not afraid of facts here at the VA, but what we are, and what I've said all along, is we will fight against anyone who wants to lie about the VA, and especially those who want to hurt our veterans. I don't understand why they want to hurt the veterans, but I'm going to call you out every time. Washington Post, do better.
Yeah, you know, the only reason that they're still alive is because of Jeff Bezos. They probably would have been gone a long time ago. All right, Rep. Marianne Miller Meeks, MD. I'm proud to be leading the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act. The Republican plan to lower health care costs, increase choices, and finally put patients and doctors ahead of profitable insurance companies. And this is going to be on millermeeks.house.gov. So maybe this is going to be the Republicans' answer to the failure of the Affordable Care Act with the Democrats, Obamacare, and maybe this will get passed. I don't know. They tried to pass legislation to combat Obamacare last week, and it didn't pass. And of course, the Democrats, they put their own legislation on the floor, which was just a clean extension of the Affordable Care Act, which means they don't want to change anything. They just want to endlessly dump money into it. So this comes from Washington, December 15th, today. Dr. Marionette Miller Meeks, Iowa, District 1, a physician and the only former state director of public health in Congress, alongside House Republican leadership, released the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, legislation that lowers health care premiums, increases health care access, expands health care choices, and brings greater transparency to America's healthcare system. The legislation will be considered in the House next week. For more than a decade, working Americans have been stuck with rising costs, fewer choices. Okay, yeah, the Affordable Care Act. Okay, well, let's see what that means for families. Sky-high premiums, out-of-pocket costs they can't afford. We're delivering lower premiums, more choices, PBM transparency, and a stronger marketplace for all Americans. I mean, I just want to know exactly how they're planning on doing that. I mean, I don't want the fluff. So nearly 15 years ago, yeah, that's fluff. I mean, we get it. We understand what Obamacare is. Write bigger checks, insurance companies. Speaker Mike Johnson said earlier this year, Democrats had a chance to help make life more affordable by supporting the working families tax cut legislation, but they voted to raise taxes, so on and so forth. Lower health care premiums for all Americans Act will actually deliver affordable health care. Okay. All right. So maybe this is what I'm looking for. So the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Act lowers premiums for all Americans. Pharmacy benefit manager transparency. Where did that go? Okay, here we go. So requires PBMs to provide employers with detailed data on prescription drug spending, rebates, spread pricing, and formulary decisions, empowering plans and workers with the transparency they deserve. Appropriates cost sharing reduction payments, provides necessary funding for CSR payments beginning in 2027. Good grief. Lowering premiums and stabilizing the individual market while ensuring taxpayer dollars are used responsibly. Relief would be better directed toward low-income enrollees that need them. It also improves healthcare options for America's workers. Association Health Plans expands access to association health plans by allowing employers, including self-employed workers, to band together across industries to purchase affordable, high-quality coverage. Access to stop-loss insurance ensures small and mid-sized employers can protect themselves from catastrophic claims by clarifying that stop-loss insurance is not health insurance coverage. This would allow small businesses to offer their employees more tailored, affordable care. And Choice Arrangements codifies and strengthens 2019 rules allowing employers to offer defined contributions for employees to purchase their own coverage, renamed as Choice Arrangements, and permits employees to pay premiums pre-tax. So, to be honest with you, I don't really quite understand what all that means. Doesn't really sound like it's going to revolutionize or like drastically improve our healthcare system. Not so sure, but it says you can read the lower healthcare premiums for all Americans tax bill or act bill text here. And it's probably going, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, that's the PDF of it. 111 pages. That is a lot. And if that's what they took out of it, those few bullet points, I didn't really take away a whole lot from it. Hopefully maybe anybody listening to this might understand what that said better than I do. And hopefully that gives you some reassurance that maybe they're actually onto something this time, and maybe they might finally get some progress with regard to dismantling and obliterating Obamacare once and for all. And this is from Dr. Oz. I thought this was kind of interesting. So Marketplace OE is happening now. It's time to shop, compare, and enroll in a 2026 health plan. All healthcare.gov plans cover essential benefits, including preventative services and prescriptions. Today is the last day to apply for coverage starting on January 1st. Healthcare.gov, get coverage. /get coverage. Start a 2026 health plan application now on healthcare.gov, which that's Obamacare, ain't it? The Affordable Care Act. There it is, about the Affordable Care Act. There it is. You want to learn about the Affordable Care Act. It's got everything you need to know right there. So, all right. Marketplace, open enrollment, November 1st to January 15th. Okie dokie. Speaker Mike Johnson, Democrats misled hardworking Americans and claimed the ACA would lower health care premium costs. When their law was enacted, premium costs went up. And they went up every single year. They didn't go down a single year. They went up every single year since it was passed. Since 2014, premium costs on the ACA exchanges have risen nearly 2 times faster than employer coverage and more than 3 times faster than inflation. It is without question that the Unaffordable Care Act has failed the American people. Republicans are working to fix the Democrats' mess. Obamacare plan premiums have increased nearly 2 times faster than employer-based plan premiums since 2014. And here on the side, a percent increase from 2014. And so the big one, the 129%, that's the ACA benchmark plan premium for a 50-year-old. And the dark blue, average employer-based individual plan premium. And the light blue is the consumer price index. So, yeah, man, the average for a 50-year-old skyrocketing very quickly. And moving to Secretary Kennedy from 8 hours ago, another Maha win. Thank you to Walmart, the largest grocer and food retailer in the country, for committing to remove synthetic food dyes and 30 other ingredients from their store brand foods and beverages. Maha wins at Walmart.
So the nation's biggest retailer embracing the Maha movement, Walmart, currently working on making its store brand food free of food dyes and 30 other ingredients. From Bentonville, Arkansas, the headquarters for Walmart, Fox Business' Kelly Saberi is looking at that. What'd you find out, Kelly?
Amazing news.
Hi, Bill. Welcome to Walmart's Culinary Innovation Center. This new building is 23,000 square feet where food scientists, chefs, and people like you and me taste test these foods. Now, this is a massive undertaking as the nation's biggest grocer, and each of these products has its own unique challenges. Take candy, for example. Not only are they taking out the colors of the original product, but they're also working out both the taste and texture, which we know is equally as important. And it's one of their top-selling categories. So let's take the sour worms, for example. They have titanium dioxide.
And how much of this is being purchased with EBT? I bet a lot of candy at Walmart's being purchased with food
outside of
stamps.
them. And now they'll take that out, which removes that.
Not anymore in some
neon.
states.
New versions use things like spirulina and turmeric for the color. And if you can believe it, I think the new version actually tastes better than the original. So I asked, how will Walmart, such a big company present in 9 out of 10 homes, change the way Americans eat? They tell me their decisions are dictated by the consumer, not the other way around.
Customers are turning over that package, that bag, or looking digitally at those ingredients more than they ever have. More than half of the customers are actually very in tune and looking at those ingredient labels. And they wanted simplicity, they wanted transparency, and they wanted things they could pronounce and that they understood.
The part that I found most fascinating is the idea that they're aiming to keep their costs exactly the same. 70% of their portfolio is priced under $5. And all of this feels especially important as we round out the holidays this month. There are so many things that we need to entertain. And right now, 90% of their fleet of products already has this dye-free promise. Now, what's going to happen with the rest of the products? By January of 2027, Walmart says they will have this promise finished and ready for their consumers.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
All right. Changing times indeed. Thank you. Good to have you there. Thank you, Kelly. Walmart.
All right. Way to go. Way to go, Walmart. It's definitely good news. There's no need to put dyes in it. I get, like with candy, you want the bright colors. You want it to stand out on the shelves. But, yeah, whatever, man. We don't need these dyes in our food. It's poison. Okay, RNC Research. Democrat Ro Khanna, who voted against reopening the government, says he has never been for a shutdown and blames Republicans for not negotiating. Khanna, I've never been for a shutdown. And then Bartiromo, she says, you voted to keep the government shut down. Duh.
Do you believe that if you don't get any solution on these extensions of Obamacare, do you believe that the Democrats should shut down government again at the end of January?
Again. We didn't shut it down.
I've never been for a shutdown in terms of just getting our way. I am trying to negotiate. One of the issues that we've tried with Michael Lawler, with Kevin Colley, to Republicans, is to say, let's just do the extensions for a year or 2 years. Let's make sure.
Why? Why do it at all? Okay, fine. Why not extend it 20 years? Because that's really what the Democrats really want to do.
That people are covered. Their premiums don't spike from $50 to
Democrats have no answers to this at all. They don't have a fucking clue what to do.
In Arizona was cancer.
Just throw money at it, man.
Let's come together, but then we can deal with the long term. But right now, you're going to penalize the American people if you don't get a compromise.
No, dude. Y'all already did.
But wait, let's
Democrats
be clear.
already did all that.
You voted to keep the government shut down.
Because they did not come even with a compromise.
They didn't come with a compromise. Okay, yeah, whatever, dude. They didn't need a compromise. Y'all fucked up this entire system with Obamacare. And they've had well over a decade to try to get it back on track. It's been increasing in cost year after year ever since that it passed. It hasn't gone down a single year. So the red flag started since the inception of Obamacare, basically. Okay, RNC Research again. We got Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff voted for the longest government shutdown in history 15 times, withholding paychecks from over 100,000 Georgians and food assistance from over 1 million people. Now he's trying to gaslight his way out of it.
You took a very hard line during the 43-day government shutdown, voting against those Republican efforts to reopen the government, including the last one in which several of your colleagues voted to reopen the government. When you look back at it, was that a mistake to reopen the government?
I voted repeatedly to both fund the government and extend these Affordable Care Act tax credits, and that's the right policy.
You took a very
whatever. I mean, even CNN framed that in a way that it was like, y'all fucking shut down the government. It's 100% the Democrats. All right, so we got another one. Senate Republicans. Georgia Democrat Jon Ossoff says President Trump needs to be constrained. Ossoff's Trump derangement syndrome just keeps getting worse.
It's going to be a judgment on this administration's record and whether an out-of-control president who's engaged in brazen and overt corruption and the abuse of power needs to be constrained.
Well, yeah,
we need to restore checks and balances urgently.
I mean, give some examples. I mean, what are you talking about exactly? Are you talking about the whole Venezuela thing? The narco-terrorists? What are you talking about? All right, anyway, Scott Turner, 12 hours ago. Boston's race-based housing policies violate the law. Housing discrimination won't be tolerated, especially in the name of dead DEI ideologies.
Policy is clear, though.
Sounds like
Financial
fantastic
housing assistance
news.
is not just for all low-income persons, but instead particularly for those residents. So, what can you explain about that and what's going on in Boston?
Yeah, so Bob, they put race above reality. They put race above merit and need, using
like
the Fair Housing Act as a weapon to promote discriminatory housing policies. And at HUD, our responsibility is to uphold the Fair Housing Act, to uphold the law, and to enforce the law. And that's exactly why you see us launching this investigation. And you alluded to, in the city's own words, they say, we will integrate racial equity at every layer of city government. What that tells us right there, it's not about need, it's not about following the law, but it's about DEI. And at HUD, DEI is dead, it's over. And the president, with his leadership, this administration, we want to uphold the law. We want to protect the civil rights of every American. We are about equal rights, but not extra rights. And that's what you see going on in Boston.
Yeah, they wanted to advance that DEI agenda instead of just having a fair playing field for all of us.
Yeah, of course. They just want to do that endlessly. That's what they want, man. They've been about discrimination the whole time. They always have been. The party of racism. Secretary Doug Burgum, the USBR, is directing up to 58 billion more gallons of fresh water to California's Central Valley farmland rather than dumping it into the ocean. This means more water for our farmers and more affordable food for Americans. Unlike California leadership, President Trump puts America first. That is freaking appalling that they're dumping all that into the ocean. It reminds me of the movie Chinatown with Jack Nicholson back in the 70s. They were doing the same thing. So it sounds like nothing new. What they're doing in California, just dumping water into the ocean to try to, force farmers out of business, probably, so they can gobble up the land for pennies on the dollar. Anyway, Kelly Loeffler, 11 hours ago, the Biden administration created $6 trillion worth of new regulations that drove up costs for small businesses and, in turn, drove 40-year high inflation that crushed consumers. Today, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is launching a new deregulation strike force to eliminate that red tape and deliver meaningful relief in key industries to lower prices for families and job creators. If you're a small business, help us cut burdensome regulations by reporting them to our red tape hotline at 1-800-827-5722.
I'm Kelly Loeffler, Administrator of the U.S. Small Business Administration. From day one, we made a promise to America's taxpayers to support the reduction of $100 billion in red tape in just 1 year. We've already met that goal. Of course, there is so much more work to do to reverse the Biden administration's $6 trillion in regulations that crushed small businesses for the last 4 years. Now, not only did these massive regulations create an extra 365 hours of paperwork for every job creator in America, they contributed to record high inflation, driving up costs for consumers, homeowners, and small businesses. Today, the SBA is announcing a deregulatory strike force. This will identify and eliminate the excessive Biden-era regulations across the entire federal government that have hurt the Main Street economy. Through our strike force, we will eliminate regulations in key industries like manufacturing,
paperwork jobs,
energy, housing, and healthcare that were hardest hit by Bidenflation, thanks to Green New Deal activists and regulators gone wild. With powerful efforts like this, we will continue to support President Trump's affordability agenda, which has already halved inflation, by cutting costly red tape for both businesses and consumers alike. So stay tuned, America. There's more to come.
Stay tuned, America. There's more to come. Okay, I'm going to ask a quick oh, shit. I didn't mean to do that. I think I actually got out of... Oh, wait, no, that wasn't it. Okay, so this is Grok. All right, so let me ask another question. How many regulators work in the federal government? And I probably should have attached the word short at the end of that. But there is no single official account, so there's so many they can't even keep count of them in the U.S. federal government, as the term is not precisely defined in government statistics. Okay, all right. So it could refer to employees involved in rulemaking, enforcement, compliance, oversight. So in recent years, 2020 data, the latest detailed and available analyses, approximately 287,000 full-time equivalent employees worked at these regulatory agencies. This includes major ones like the EPA, FDA, OSHA, FCC, SEC, Homeland Security-related regulators, but excludes broader non-regulatory functions in departments like Defense or Veterans Affairs. The total federal civilian workforce is between 2.9 and 3 million employees. and that excludes the military and postal workers. So, yeah, there you go. Independent regulatory agencies have far fewer staff, often in the low thousands each, totaling 50,000 combined. So, yeah, man, 287,000. That figure represents the closest available proxy for personnel dedicated to federal regulatory activities, drawn from budgetary data on economic, social, and security regulation. And, yeah, man, regardless, that's an enormous number. Just regulators, just people just regulating shit. All right, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Thanks to President Trump, the health of the U.S. government's finances is improving. The current calendar year-to-date deficit is $1.52 trillion, which compares to a deficit of $1.93 trillion for the comparable period last year under Biden, a 21% drop. Not only is the deficit smaller under President Trump, the economy is also bigger. The full 2025 calendar budget deficit to GDP may total only 5.5%, substantially lower than the unsustainably high 6.8% in calendar year 2024 under Biden. Under President Trump's leadership, we will grow our way out of debt and into prosperity. I'm not sure if we'll quite get there, but one can only hope. All right, Tom Emmer. American innovation and prosperity shouldn't be stifled by costly and needless red tape. The House GOP is bullish on permitting reform, and it was a pleasure to host a roundtable on the issue in my office last week. Welcome to the Whip's office.
This is an issue that goes through everyone's
district
in one form or another, or several. Okay, you should engage your people, and the stakeholders that are in this room should be engaging your people, and we should focus on the economy, which is our issue, right? And this is totally about the economy. They broke it. We're trying to fix it.
When permitting is difficult, which it is right now, it costs local governments a lot of time and money.
We need energy, and we've lost that cheap energy advantage that we had. And the permit reforms, keeping the juice on at a cost per kilowatt, that makes all that possible. It's crucial. It's just crucial.
Well, I really appreciate everybody taking time to have this discussion. I know that our members all appreciate the opportunity to hear from you guys. Know that these are some of the members that are most engaged in the issues that you guys are dealing with. Please lean on them.
All right. So, yeah, holding some roundtable, trying to get rid of some regulations, red tape. All right. Kelly Loeffler. Loeffler, or was it Loeffler? I think she pronounced her name as Loeffler. Kelly Loeffler. I guess I've been saying it wrong this entire time. All right. So anyway, the Biden administration's regulatory state created 350 plus hours of new paperwork for small businesses, which she already covered that in the video. But I will link that if you want to read into that further. SBA's new deregulation strike force designed to cut those regulations to bring costs down on Main Street in every household across our country. And the Steel Manufacturers Association, a huge thanks to GOP Majority Whip Tom Emmer and the House GOP for leading the charge on permitting reform. Cutting through decades of red tape is exactly what's needed to unleash economic growth and let America build. And Secretary Sean Duffy, America is truly the most beautiful country on this planet, and there's nothing better than exploring this great nation than on the road. Introducing the Stars and Steel Corvette, celebrating America's 250th birthday, and GM's Explore 250 app, which maps out all the best places to visit. And we'll take a look at this thing.
Hey everyone, Secretary Sean Duffy here. We're about to celebrate America's 250th birthday. There's no better way to celebrate a birthday than to hit the road. This is the Corvette Stars and
Probably
Steel.
A $200,000 vehicle.
250 of them made to celebrate America's
No, it's $250,000. How much you want to bet?
We have an American flag on the front, Stars and Stripes, beautiful. A little 250 recognition of our birthday. Over 1,000 horsepower in this Corvette. You check this out though.
It's so ridiculous,
Interior,
man.
Red
1,000
accent,
horsepower.
red stitching. Getting in.
Exactly the A to B
right
ride I
around me.
need.
By the way, I have a plaque here recognizing our 250th birthday. But this is the best part.
Start the engine, go directly to jail.
You're watching, but wait for it. Ready? We're gonna take this bad boy on a little test drive to the Army-Navy game. Here we go, America 250.
Without a license plate. Very good idea.
Oh man, What a trip. Open road.
like a half a block.
Army-Navy game. Stars and Steel Corvette. This was amazing. By the way, GM and DOT have partnered to build an app to help you explore America. It's called Explore 250. Go to any app store, download it. 250 locations for you to visit as we celebrate our birthday. You can take a Corvette.
Yeah, there you go. 250 locations.
But get out, explore the country. Use the app. Happy birthday, America.
All right, man. If you're fortunate enough to be retired, or if you're lucky enough to be able to take a whole year off, you can go and explore 250 different locations around the country in your new $250,000 Corvette. So, Homeland Security, the best way to celebrate a $10,000 TSA bonus, Trump dance. Thank you to the TSA officers who kept this country moving, our skies secure, and showed resilience during the government shutdown. DHS is so proud of these patriots.
I would like to first and foremost thank the Almighty God for just this moment. Having come this far, so far in my TSA career, I'm thankful for this moment. To our president, thank you. To the Secretary of Homeland Security, thank you. I'm truly just at a loss for words, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And again, I'm grateful. I don't know what else to say, but I'm grateful. And if I could do one more thing, I do the Trump dance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm grateful. Thank you. And to the team here at DFW, thank you. I never thought of taking a day off, but I just wanted to be here and wanted to see us get through this. We got through it. Thank you.
Yeah, man, they gave him a $10,000 bonus, and all the other TSA workers that did not take a day off during that shutdown, which was, 43 days? I think it was 43 days. All right. Kelly Loeffler. The fair trade agenda has brought over $18 trillion from outside investors who want to build in this country. The vast majority of that will flow directly to small businesses, who represent 98% of all U.S. manufacturers. It means more American jobs and less reliance on foreign adversaries. And this is from Rapid Response. Quote from President Trump: when these factories and plants open up by the thousands, we have an age that's coming up, the likes of which I don't think the country has ever seen.
We have a country that potentially is geared to have the most incredible golden years ever. We're going to have, it's the golden age. I say it's the golden age of America. When these factories and plants open up by the thousands, Toyota just announced they're going to spend $10 billion building plants to make Toyotas. So they're coming from Germany, they're coming from Japan, they're coming from Canada. Many factories are coming in because
the tariffs,
they don't want to pay tariffs. Very simple.
Nope.
They're coming in and they're
simple.
spending they're spending hundreds
all
of
back
billions of dollars. Our car industry lost 58% of their capacity over the years. Man. They went to Europe, they went to Mexico, Japan, they went all over. They went to South Korea, and now it's just the opposite. They're all coming back. We have an age that's coming up, the likes of which I don't think this country has never seen. And I just look so forward to the results. You're going to see results in 6 months to a year. I think you'll see results. We've never had anything like it.
I mean, yeah, dude, if they're talking, $18 trillion in total for manufacturing, I don't know if all of that is geared toward manufacturing, but I'm sure probably the lion's share of that is, then, yeah, man, like blue collar jobs, the trades industry is going to explode. And maybe they can start ramping up legal immigration, skilled. That's the key word, skilled legal immigration. All right, BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they say job openings rate 4.6% in September and October of 2025. And the Democrats, I just read something earlier today that they were saying like 1.5 million jobs were lost over the last month. And we got this from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they're saying basically the opposite. At least that's how I'm reading it. So jobs openings rates, selected industries, January of 15 to October of 25, seasonally adjusted. And looks like total non-farm. And let's see. So hover over the chart. Okay, well, it's just an image. It's not yeah, it's not movable, but U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And yeah, it's hovering just a little bit over 4%. What was that, 4.6%, where it's sitting at currently. And roll on to the next one. Caroline Leavitt, Trump administration launches U.S. tech force, recruits top talent to modernize the federal government. And this is going to be another one from Breitbart. And they say the Trump administration launched the U.S. tech force on Monday, tasked with recruiting top talent to modernize the federal government. This is a clarion call. Office of Personnel Management, OPM Director Scott Kupor, said in a written statement, "If you want to help your country lead in the age of rapid technological advancement, we need you. Tech Force offers the chance to build and lead projects of national importance while creating powerful career opportunities in both public service and the private sector. I'm grateful to President Trump for prioritizing America's technology leadership and empowering a cross-government effort to close our nation's critical talent gaps." And I actually have this on my list. I think it's the next one that I'm going to share after this article. Tech Force is a collaboration between the OPM, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, the General Services Administration, GSA, the White House Office of Science Technology Policy, the OSTP, and other agency leaders to hire engineers, data scientists, and technology leaders to help solve the federal government's most pressing technology challenges. The Tech Force also coordinates with private sector tech leaders. GSA is proud to partner with OPM and the Trump administration to answer the president's call to fast-track AI adoption across the federal government. Federal Acquisition Service, FAS, Commissioner Josh Gruenbaum said, Tech Force will be a true force multiplier, creating a pathway to bring in top private sector talent to help drive a new era of American AI leadership inside the federal government and deliver for the American taxpayers. Tech Force aims to carry out technology projects at the Departments of State, Treasury, War, Interior, Agriculture, Commerce, Labor, Health and Human Services, Housing, Urban Development, Transportation, Energy, Veterans Affairs, and Homeland Security, in addition to the Small Business Association, the Internal Revenue Service, Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services, also the OPM, the GSA, and others. So basically the entire federal government. Might as well just said that. Tech Force is America's elite corps for the AI revolution, mobilizing the nation's best minds to lead on digital front lines, defend our global edge, and secure our future in technological leadership. Federal Chief Information Officer for the OMB, Gregory Barbacia, said, "It is a call to service for our nation's best technologists to join a mission-critical corps that will ensure our competitiveness, modernize our government infrastructure, and lead the world in innovation from education to medicine." OPM will partner with Adobe, Amazon Web Services, AMD, Anduril, Apple Box, C3.ai, Coinbase, Databricks, Dell Technologies, DocuSign, Google Public Sector, IBM, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, OpenAI, on and on and on. So you get the idea. You can read it all here on screen. So a lot of different industries, a lot of companies that are being involved or taking involvement with this initiative. So it's a hell of an initiative, man. It's like President Trump just never stops. He's just moving and moving and moving, making waves in the federal government. So this is the Undersecretary of War, Emil Michael. To maintain technological dominance, we have to lead in AI. The Department of War is embracing USOPM's new initiative to recruit America's top AI engineers, data scientists, and technology leaders. We need the nation's best minds in government to drive mass AI adoption. Apply today at techforce.gov, and that will be linked if you are so interested. This is from U.S. Tech Force, and it says, join an elite group of technologists to transform the federal government through modern software development. Go to techforce.gov to apply today. Let's check this out.
There was a moment when civilization hung in the balance. We called the best minds to the Manhattan Project. Scientists, engineers, builders. They answered, and America prevailed. 80 years later, a new call. Our safeguards, our services, our systems, all run on code. Outdated. Time to rebuild what holds us together. For national security, for the future of America. 2 years, one mission. Defense, state, health, finance, benefits, modern bulletproof systems. You don't patch old code. You dismantle, rebuild. America's coding renaissance. A fellowship for the driven, guided by pioneers. They ignite. You carry the flame. When you graduate, private giants don't wait. They pursue. They need you. Because you are now the Navy SEALs of coding. Join us. Your country needs you.
All right, man. That was some very high production. Those video developers, they did a bang-up job of that. All right, Department of War, CTO, an AI-first Department of War requires AI-first personnel. Apply today at techforce.gov. So that's from the Department of War, CTO. Help the War Department build the future of AI. And, of course, Rapid Response 47, they're saying the same thing. Techforce.gov, basically the same image with just a little different of a screen face. Okay, bleeping computer. This was also today. 700 credit data breach impacts 5.8 million vehicle dealership customers. So if you purchased a vehicle from a dealership recently, then your data may have potentially been breached. Oh, I didn't even pay attention to see where that went. Okay, here we go. It's up here. All right, so yeah, this is going to come from bleeping computer. 700 credit data breach impacts 5.8 million vehicle dealership customers. So let's see if we can get some details out of this. And it says that 700 Credit, a U.S.-based financial services and fintech company, will start notifying more than 5.8 million people that their personal information has been exposed in a data breach incident. The cyber attack occurred after a threat actor had breached one of 700 Credit's integration partners in July and discovered an API for obtaining customer information. However, the partner did not inform 700 Credit of the compromise. 700 Credit noticed suspicious activity on its systems on October 25th and launched an investigation with assistance from third-party computer forensic specialists. The investigation determined that certain records in the web application relating to customers of its dealership clients were copied without authorization, 700 Credit says in the notification to affected individuals. According to 700 Credit Managing Director Ken Hill, the attacker managed to steal around 20% of consumer data from May to October before the company terminated the exposed API. The threat actor was able to exfiltrate data due to a security vulnerability in the API, a failure to validate consumer reference IDs against the original requester. The data types that have been exposed includes the full name, physical address, date of birth, and, unfortunately, social security number. 700 Credit is one of the largest providers of credit reporting, identity verification, and fraud and compliance services for automotive dealers across the United States. Well, if they're one of the largest for credit reporting and identity verification, maybe they shouldn't be working with third-party companies. Maybe they should be doing everything internally. Because when you start contracting things out to a bunch of different entities, it just opens you up to just this exact vulnerability, because you can't manage all of these other companies from within. It's similar to like with the automotive industry, which interestingly is tied in with this article, like the likes of Ford or Honda or GM, whoever, they contract a lot of the automotive parts out to third-party companies who build the parts, like the headlights or the windshield wiper motor or whatever it might be, and then they assemble all of it into the vehicle. Well, a lot of these parts come from companies that are not under like Ford's umbrella, so they're not able to QC it properly, quality control and everything, and now we're getting a whole litany of recalls and a bunch of safety issues going on with the automotive industry. So it's probably a better idea that they just keep everything in-house and they don't contract all this other stuff out to a bunch of other different companies. But all right, anyway, I'll digress. So it is worth noting that the company filed with the Federal Trade Commission a breach notification on its behalf and consolidated one on behalf of all its affected dealer clients. And, oh wait, did I skip anything? According to the company, it provides credit reports and soft pull solutions to more than 23,000 automotive, RV, power sports, and marine dealer customers. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of people. 700 credit customers impacted by the breach no longer have to file a notice with the FTC or with state attorney general's offices, as the company will do it on their behalf as well. Well, I guess we can only hope so. So 700 Credit also informed the National Automobile Dealers Association about the incident to raise awareness. A dedicated page on the company's website provides general details about the data breach and the type of information impacted. So this is the dedicated page. And let me just take a look and see what this looks like. 700 Credit notice. So I'll go ahead and link this too. It's going to be the only link down below. That's 700credit.com. But that's the data breach. It's recently shared additional information about the data breach in the following resources. Please review to learn more and revisit this section for updates. So NADA article, CBT News interview, KPA webinar, Comply Auto webinar, and video update from 700 Credit. And the video update was from the 12th, so that was only a few days ago. And let's see. So to help affected individuals mitigate the risk, 700 Credit is offering a 12-month free of charge identity protection and credit monitoring service through TransUnion with a 90-day to enrollment period. Well, that doesn't really save them from their social security number being exposed, along with their, just having the social security number by itself. That might be one thing, but to have the social security number and the person's full name and the person's address, I mean, it's probably going to make it incredibly easy to use that information for, nefarious means, to say the least. So, all right. So recipients of the data breach notification are advised to monitor their accounts closely and consider placing a security freeze. At the time of writing, no ransomware groups claim the attack. Bleeping Computer has contacted 700 Credit to learn more about the incident, but a comment wasn't immediately available. Yeah, I think at this point, everybody's information has been breached. Like Target, some years back, what was it, like 50 million people's information, like their credit card numbers, maybe even in some cases their socials were released. Or not released, but breached. And it just, like, we come across this stuff all the time, man. It's like every week, it seems, or at least like once a month, there's some massive data breach that happens, and tons of people's information just gets exposed, finds its way down into the dark web somewhere, where it just gets traded between hackers and, scammers and just online criminals. So, I mean, it really sucks, but I mean, what are you going to do? Short of never applying for loans and just only spend money that you have, probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to do exactly that. Okay, Secretary Linda McMahon. Thank you, Secretary LCD, that's Lori Chavez de Raymer, for your partnership in improving our nation's education programs so students are prepared for success. And she's the Secretary of Labor. Exclusive, how the Labor Secretary is helping Linda McMahon dismantle the Department of Education. And there is an article to this down here somewhere. Here we go, from the Daily Signal. And it starts here. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de Raymer said she expects to see success from the Labor Department taking on the responsibilities of the Education Department. The Department of Education and the Labor Department integrated the federal government's education and workforce portfolio. The change positioned the Labor Department as the headquarters for all federal workforce programs and executed the two agencies' joint workforce development agreement. The Education Department also transferred the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education, as well as the Post-Secondary Education Office, to the Labor Department. The Daily Signal depends... Oh, okay. Yeah, readers like you, I got it. I fell for that last time. We're just deploying those dollars because we see what the market demands are, Chavez de Raymer told the Daily Signal. This is going to be successful because I think the states are going to appreciate that they have the access to those dollars closest to the ground. I will look to Congress to say, here are the metrics. Here's what's been proven. And if you want to codify that, she said, because I think the president's been clear we're failing our education system through the Federal Department of Education, and we want to get that to the state education departments in order to deploy those dollars to that future workforce. Chavez de Raymer said she is able to use her connections from her time in Congress in her position at Labor. I worked really hard while I served my time in Congress. I was on the Education and Workforce Committee, Transportation and Infrastructure, the AG Committee. That's why all of this matters. So certainly I built those relationships. Now, as the Secretary of Labor, it's my job to give them technical assistance when they're drafting bills and legislation. She said it's helpful that she maintains relationships with her former colleagues in Congress. It's up to them to do the legislative side of that, but the relationship building doesn't stop. I think that really comes from the leadership of this president, where he says, listen, work with your congressman. Understand that work with your respective states, and it's helpful that I was there before in order to build those relationships. And Secretary of Education Linda McMahon previously told the Daily Signal she is talking to dozens of Congress members about codifying her plan to move certain education department functions to other agencies. Chavez-Dramer is working with McMahon by taking on some Department of Education employees and grant dollars. Quote, we're not forgetting about the prospective workforce and the education we're addressing. That education is our future workforce, the Labor Secretary said. It's a great coalition between Department of Education and the Department of Labor. And I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody that recognizing that they are our future workforce and they deserve those dollars in their hands. And that is fantastic news. I would have to go as far as to say that the majority, if not the vast majority of the country, would be in favor of just dismantling the federal Department of Education. It should have never left the state level anyway. Okay, so... Oh, no, this is still on the post. Let me go back one more. And got this from the U.S. Department of Education. Today, the Education Department is awarding $256 million in new education, innovation, and research grants. These are the first awards under Education Secretary Linda McMahon's grant-making priorities to strengthen literacy instruction, expand school choice, and return education to the states. And I've got this here from ed.gov, and this should detail the grants that they are looking at, or that they're going to be releasing. Let's see. EIR grants. Okay, I figured that they would have had a list like bullet points, but so today the Department of Education announces $256 million in new education, innovation, and research grants to improve literacy nationwide. These grants are the first awards making use of three of Secretary McMahon's grant-making priorities: strengthening evidence-based literacy instruction, expanding education choice, and returning education to the states. Notably, as a direct result of the Secretary's returning education to the states priority, 10 of the 24 new awards went to state education agencies, marking the largest number of state-led literacy awards in any EIR competition and a significant increase over previous years. Quote, as we return education to the states, my top priority is strengthening literacy outcomes in schools across America. Every dollar from this year's EIR awards will support the use and expansion of evidence-based literacy instruction, expand education choice, and empower grant recipients to build and sustain high-quality literacy support systems for students. This is a huge opportunity for states to lead, and they are rising to the occasion. Over 65% of these awards, totaling more than $167 million, will support projects in rural America. This far exceeds the program's requirement to dedicate at least 25% of EIR funds to projects supporting majority rural communities. And let's see. All right, so of the 24 grantees, 18 are new to the EIR program, highlighting the department's success in attracting innovative, evidence-based approaches from a broader group of applicants and strengthening the national pipeline of literacy solutions. And it's got a little bit more information there, so that'll be linked below. Move into another one from the U.S. Department of Education. On the third day of Christmas, Trump McMahon gave to thee, and no, I'm not singing it, 3 letters, eliminated DEI. Oh, it's only 10 seconds. All right. I don't think the syllables quite match up to be able to sing it just right, but all right. Another one from Linda McMahon. New, the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Education launching the Presidential 1776 Award. High school students can engage in a friendly competition and show off their knowledge of our great nation's founding ideals. History buffs can receive scholarships totaling $250,000. Game on. So if you either happen to be a high school student or you know someone who is a high school student and they are excellent at history or civics and the history of our country, they have some scholarships that they might be able to win. And here we go. High school students sign up for the competition right here. And it's going to be on presidential1776award.org. The Presidential 1776 Award. Learn from the past, test your knowledge, and track your future. And the countdown to the test, 67 days, 21 hours, 26 minutes, 39 seconds. And yeah, so they've got some reading material here regarding that. And rolling on. All right. Nope. Back one more. Here we go. Secretary Sean Duffy, the wives of the cabinet secretaries exclusively tell our Campos Duffy, Rachel Campos Duffy, who is a co-host for Fox and Friends, the one thing about their spouse they wish people would know. And coming soon, the president's administration husbands will share their stories with Rachel. This is an interesting segment.
If there was one thing about your husband that you wish people would know, what would be it?
That he's funny. I think a lot of people think he's very serious, which he, of course, he does have a very serious side, but he really makes me laugh.
Jen?
I just think that he cares so much, and I think people probably do know that, but that's what it is. He does this only because he cares about the troops and our country, and he starts with God and goes from there to see, to make sure he's doing the right thing.
And Pete's really funny.
He's funny.
Jeanette?
I would say Marco's very funny.
He is. He's the funniest
very
one.
funny.
He's the funniest.
And he's a great dad. He is God
always looks
first,
so
his
serious,
kids,
though.
his family, and obviously the job. He finds it to be the most important thing. His job is for his kids.
Yeah.
It is for his family. That's the truth.
Allison?
I would want people to know that how much Howard cares about this job and doing right by America, and I'm really proud to watch that. He's also a wonderful husband, and today we're celebrating our 31-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Wow, we have 31 years.
Huge achievement. Lisa, what do you want everyone to know about Doug?
He's passionate. Anything that he believes in, it will come out of him rocking back and forth, letting you know exactly how he feels and what he's going to do about it. And then he's got the soft side, if you will, of the loving and caring. You know, let me pray with you. Let me see what I can do to help you. So.
Marlo?
So Jameson is very service oriented. He served in the military. He was in the first Trump administration. And so I think he just really wants to do what is best for Americans. And I think that is something like that really he tries to reflect through his hard work. And he's very good at doing dishes as well.
Yeah.
He would want everyone to know that.
I think I alluded to it earlier. He's hilarious. Scott is so funny. He has like this country boy kind of charm and humor. It's one of the things that attracted me to him a long time ago. He's also very passionate. I mean, I tell people Scott is passionate about everything. If he has a broom in his hand, he is going to clean the floor like no one else. I mean, everything he does to the 100th degree. So, funny and passionate.
Catherine?
Well, I would say that my husband cares very deeply, and he has everybody's birthday in his phone, anniversaries. Like, he remembers all those details and remembers people and sends them texts. And I think everyone in the world has his phone number. But he also is very big on knowing people's high school mascots, which is very interesting. But more than anything, he does believe in service also.
Marla, you said he's great at washing dishes. In our house, Sean is the ironer. I don't like to iron, and for some reason, Sean finds it relaxing, and so he irons in our house. So that's something nobody knows.
That's impressive.
I know.
All right, well, that was interesting. I don't know if that's something that they've done in the past. I haven't seen the wives of the cabinet members before in an interview, but yeah, they said that they're going to have the husbands on, I don't know, next week, maybe, or in the coming days. So I'll be on the lookout. I don't know if I will come across it. If I do, then I'll share it. All right, Caroline Levitt. Melania Trump's White House Christmas is a shining beacon of America. This is going to be on Fox News. I'm hoping that they're going to have somewhat of a slideshow, or they're going to have something. Oh man, look at this. Officials give an update on the Bondi Beach terror attack. I might have to see if I can locate that, and I might tag that at the end of this episode. Okay, so not really interested in all the text. I just want to know what the images look like. I can't stand freaking Fox News's layout. It's like the stupid banners in the way. Yeah, see, if I zoom out, it gets a little better, I guess. All right. So, yeah, see, I can't even click on it. But anyway, that's one image. And that's trees for troops delivered 326,000 Christmas trees over the last 20 years. Okay, that's pretty cool. And there's another image of Melania Trump. And, okay, well, it's just an article, man. Okay. Yeah, if I had more time, I would have been able to review that. But anyway, Melania Trump's White House Christmas is a shining beacon of America. First Lady's home is where the hardest decorations feature an 18-foot blue room tree with gold star ornament. And this isn't going to be it, is it? How's Stockbridge, Massachusetts celebrates the holiday season?
Of our 12 Towns in 12 Days series.
No, that's unrelated. Okay, well, whatever. You know, that would have been a better article if they had images to go with it. Anyway, it'll be linked below, though, if you want to take a look at that. So this is from NASA. So we're definitely getting to the end of the video. But before I do, let me see if I can get that update. Okay, so this is live. I had to go back like 20 minutes. Yeah, about 24 minutes. But this feed is still live. There's a number of officials that are giving speeches and whatnot. So this is what I came across here on YouTube. This is on 9 News Australia. Let's see if I can get a little bit. I don't plan on playing all 20+ minutes of it, but I'll link it.
Okay, appreciate you all being here. I'm joined, of course, with the Prime Minister, Commissioner Lanyon, Commissioner Barrett, the Minister for Mental Health, Rose Jackson, the Chief Psychiatrist, and the Minister for Police. Obviously, we'll give an update on the latest in relation to the investigation and related matters. I want to make it clear, after speaking with the Prime Minister and the National Cabinet, as well as the New South Wales Cabinet, that our response to this horrifying tragedy must be comprehensive and has begun already. Our approach to this terrible crime in New South Wales is multifaceted, but I want to make it clear that our efforts to firstly work with the New South Wales Police on counter-terrorism efforts continue. Secondly, fighting anti-Semitism in our community, which will not be done in a week or a month, but it's a long-term, important project for the Government of New South Wales, working with civic leaders and the people of this state. Thirdly, gun law reform in New South Wales.
Oh my God, dude.
Legislation brought into the New South Wales Parliament to
Isn't it basically illegal to own guns already?
Tougher in this state. I'm determined to bring in the toughest gun laws in
Guns
Australia.
are impossible to have in Australia. Let's make it harder to get.
New South Wales. And lastly, and importantly, and this has been reflected
This is the most ridiculous answer ever.
Leaders, community leaders across this state.
You need to be arming up all your law-abiding citizens.
As a time of healing.
The opposite.
I saw on the news some of
People
the
are
rabbis
nuts.
who gave some incredible, heartfelt messages to the New South Wales community about coming together, showing love to one another, and getting through this through healing. And
demand to get your guns back.
Incredibly important messages right
Well,
now
should be doing.
in New South Wales, messages that we all need to hear. I'm very grateful for their intervention. I want to speak a little bit about blood donations too. I'm very happy to report that there has been 50,000 appointments to give blood
Holy
in
shit.
New South Wales, which I understand is a 5-fold
That's fantastic
increase.
news.
Say to the people of New South Wales, don't give up.
There's always a shortage on blood.
If you can't get in immediately, we require your
Keep your
blood.
appointment.
Be a blood donor in New South Wales.
there you
To
go.
put this in perspective, for somebody in trauma, they may need 100
Don't forget your orange juice.
individual donations to save their life. So this is an urgent priority. Don't give up if you're at the end of the line. Make an appointment. Do a wonderful bit of civic and public duty. I'm also here to report that small business help will be forthcoming in the next 24 hours, or we'll announce a program in the next 24 hours for small businesses in the Bondi area. We know there's huge disruption associated with this huge police investigation. There's been an impact on the local community, and part of our job after this investigation moves on is to ensure that we lift back up the Bondi community and we give people a place to come together and to return to a semblance of normal life. I want to make it clear, none of the shopkeepers, none of them have complained about this at all, but we want to have their back as they open their doors in the coming days. There's lots to say. I just want to thank the public, in particular the Jewish community and interfaith leaders, for their warm support in the government's decision to put a menorah on the New South Wales.
Well, y'all going to finally
House
denounce
to
this whole Palestine
second
shit.
Day of Hanukkah. This has been
This
a
whole
tragic
from the river to the
event, tragic
sea.
event for the Jewish community of New South Wales
Of course
and
they're not.
Australia, but we're determined to meet it head on with a program and a set of reforms to ensure that we do everything we possibly can to ensure that it's not repeated. I'm going to pass over to the Prime Minister and then Commissioner Lanyon.
I think it's hilarious. That's the best they could come up with. Is, let's make it harder to get guns. It's already impossible, but we're going to make it even harder.
That we stand with you as a nation. We embrace you.
Extra gun reform.
A terrible time. These anti-Semitic
out of their
terrorist
fucking minds,
attacks
man,
will not be successful with their objective, which is to divide us as a nation. We will continue to come together.
Imagine if those law-abiding citizens had firearms out there.
Embrace each other.
Even one.
Earlier today, I met
Could've
with
stopped it.
Australian hero Ahmed Ahmed and his family. I met his mum and dad who are visiting him here, as well as other relatives at St George Hospital. I thanked him for the lives that he helped to save, and I wished him all the very best with his surgery that he will.
He's the guy that wrestled
undertake
the rifle away
tomorrow, and
from
I was able
one of
to
the
also
terrorists.
Thank the health professionals, the doctors, nurses, and staff
Dude is a
at
hero.
St George Hospital who are providing support for him.
Should have shot his fucking ass
Sunday's
as soon as he took his gun
will
away from him.
have, of course, an immediate and lasting impact on many Australians, but the Jewish community here in Sydney and nationally, first responders and people in Bondi and Sydney, the impact will be particularly acute. The Australian government has made significant investments in mental health support, including expanding Headspace and the creation of Medicare mental health centres. And I encourage all Australians affected by this tragedy to consider accessing the mental health support, including through Beyond Blue on 1300 224636, Lifeline on 131114, Kids Helpline on 1800 55 1800. Headspace
Right,
for
let's
children
get to
and
the
young
gun
people
crackdown.
and Medicare mental health centres are, of course, available to support people affected by this tragedy. Yesterday, I convened National Cabinet, where National Cabinet again spoke about the scourge of anti-Semitism and the commitment to stamp it out. We also agreed that Premier
somehow
Minns
don't
and
believe you.
Premier Cook, as the incoming chair of the Council of Australian Federation, would work together to strengthen Australia's gun laws. The very nature of our
That just
gun
cracks
laws
me up, man.
means that
They did a gun buyback in, like, what,
they are only
2014?
as strong as the weakest link, which is why we wanted to make sure that they followed Premier Minns's lead in committing to strengthening the gun laws that were, of course, created in the wake of the Port Arthur tragedy some 30 years ago, to give credit to the Howard
you're going in the
government of
wrong
that
direction,
time,
you bozos.
and the bipartisan nature in which it
Encouraging
was
every
adopted.
law-abiding citizen to arm
The
up.
consideration that will take place includes limiting the number of guns an individual can own, the type of guns that are legal, whether gun ownership
I
should
thought they already did
require
all that.
Australian citizenship, and accelerating work on the National Firearms Register. This is an agreement that we reached through the National Cabinet at the end of 2023. We've provided over $160 million to do that. Included in that is over $100 million to states and territories. It is a fact that for some states and territories they still have paper records, and that obviously makes it impossible to check across boundaries in a quick and efficient manner. And
It's not impossible. You just got to make a phone call.
that is required. We've
Walk over to the old
agreed
filing cabinet.
to accelerate that. We will continue to engage, and this afternoon I'll have further meetings, another meeting of the National Security Committee, further meetings this afternoon. My government is absolutely committed to working with New South Wales, as well as working with community organisations, particularly Jewish community organisations at this time. I'll call upon the Commissioner Barrett to make some comments before we go to questions.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to cut it there because that was the Prime Minister. So, we'll just leave it there. But I'll link that if you want to take a look at that, at the updates. I mean, look, I'm not all that knowledgeable with Australian politics, with guns. All I know is that they did some gun buyback like 10, 11, 12 years ago. And I thought that was that. I thought that the public, by and large, they don't have guns in Australia anymore because they confiscated all of them. But apparently I'm wrong in some way or another. But yeah, I don't know what this is going to lead to. I don't know if they're just going to start, going door to door and give me your guns, give me your guns. I'm not sure if it's going to get to that point or not, but wouldn't be all that surprising at this point. Okay, so I got this from NASA. The search for life out there begins right here in the 4th episode of our documentary series, Our Alien Earth. NASA astrobiologists explore beneath the volcanoes of Hawaii to advance our search for life on other worlds. And you can watch right here. Oh, by the way, this might actually be a more lengthy version of this because this is only a minute long, so this might be a preview of sorts. So Our Alien Earth, the lava tubes of Mauna Loa, Hawaii. Yeah. So this is 20. Oh wait, hold on. No, those are just related. So yeah, this runtime is 19 minutes and 46 seconds, and it would be right here that you can watch directly on NASA. But I don't have enough time to watch all that on this episode, so we're just gonna play the short version.
Hawaii, a tropical island in the Pacific Ocean. Forged from volcanoes and teeming with diverse ecosystems, climates, and creatures. And for some, a laboratory for studying environments that could hold potential signs of ancient life on our neighboring planet, Mars.
So dramatic. Alien Earth, Hawaii. Courtesy of NASA. And I've got just one more from the Chandra Observatory. Whether you're exploring space through a telescope or examining life under a microscope, the goal is the same: to greatly extend human vision. By pairing glimpses of these two worlds, we can explore the deep connections across scale, from micro to macro. And they have a link also on this, but this is a video. It's about a minute in length, and it's very interesting. They do comparisons with the very large and the very small. So they'll take like this one, it's like an image of the sun, but then there's something that's on the extremely tiny microscopic level that looks exactly like the sun. It's a very interesting video. Sea slug nerve cell and a dead star. That would be the remnants of a supernova. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, some of those objects, the color isn't exactly the same color as what the human eye can see. Some, especially the astronomy images, some of them were taken under X-ray, others were taken under infrared, so the color may not appear as the exact same color of what it's actually capturing an image of. But still, that was pretty cool. It's really neat. All right, so that is going to do it for tonight's episode. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you subscribe, and I will be dropping another show tomorrow night covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, bureaucracy, the agencies, everything. And I also post daily episodes on X, so feel free to comment there too if you'd like. And during this Christmas season, always keep your head on a swivel when driving at night. Too many people decide to drink too much eggnog, and they drive during this time of year after they had a little too much. So just be careful out there. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.